All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Beast Wars Blackarachnia. Now, this is not the original Blackarachnia. I got this figure as a gift a while ago, so I believe that this is the 2007 Telemocha repaint, which was basically Japan's equivalent of the 10th anniversary line, just giving them all color schemes that really were meant to make them like super as show accurate as possible. And yeah, because originally Blackarachnia, like the original Blackarachnia toy, had that kind of like, purple and green color scheme, which really was not indicative of what she ended up looking like in the show. So this is the version that I think, of the original figure that actually looks the most like Blackarachnia, though none of them really do, just because it's just a repaint of, the original Tarantulas toy. And of course, in the show, they had very, very different body types. But either way, this is the figure that I've got. This is the only version of this mold that I actually have. But yeah, she's okay. Not without issues, I would say. But, the spider mode obviously is looking very Tarantula-y and not Black Widow-y. So, yeah, like they put the like hourglass thing on there. But it doesn't really look like a Black Widow spider, so But yeah, in terms of articulation in this mode, the little like pincer bits at the beginning, at the front here can rotate around, and they're on ball joints, but they only bend in, so you can only really do that. And the top two legs are on ball joints at the knee, but that's really it. So, not a lot of spider mode articulation. Also, like this bit here, this gold tab is supposed to go into one of these holes here, and it just doesn't really fit. So it kind of stresses out that hole, and also just like comes undone after a while. And yeah, the legs are also really loose on mine, so they don't really like to stay put either, which is especially silly considering that this is the 2007 re-release of the figure, not even like the original one, so it's not even as old, but whatever. In terms of the weapons, obviously she does have her gun here that's kind of stored in the abdomen, and you can actually fire it in this mode because it kind of does like the whole spider silk gimmick, where if you push this gold button, it'll shoot out this kind of grappling hook weapon, which has this long string, so you can like actually display this figure by tying up the grappling hook onto something and having her hang like an actual spider, which is kind of neat. But it is also a little bit annoying because like when you want to store, I mean, you could just plug it back in and call it a day. But which way does it go? This way or that way? That way. It's weird that it goes in with the the code sticking up or whatever, but then the string is just kind of hanging out. So usually I try to actually, wrap it around the thing, but because of the shape that it is, that's also kind of an annoying thing to do. So, just takes a little while, but it works okay. It's just, kind of annoying. And then sometimes if you don't bunch it up near the end as much as you can, then it can kind of, prevent it from actually plugging into, and then you have to kind of do it again, but there seemed to work that time. But yeah, it's a nice spider mode. It just doesn't really look like a Black Widow, I would say. And it's not even without issue after that, because like a lot of it doesn't stay tabbed together, but that's what she looks like in this mode. In terms of comparisons, just for a standard one, here she is with Kingdom Sideswipe. Here she is with Kingdom Blackarachnia, just so you can see kind of the more like actual Black Widow looking spider modern figure, where they really made her much more based on her show design. And here she is with Legacy Tarantula, since this is the mold that this guy is kind of more based off of, and you can definitely see more of the similarities there, since Tarantulas actually did look like his original toy, so there's a less deviation there from this body scheme. But yeah, in terms of transformation, first thing you want to do, you can just leave the weapon attached. Thankfully, that's where it will store, so you don't have to mess with that if you don't want to. But you want to take the legs down here and just unfold them at the hip and knee. This one hip especially has gotten really, really loose. And then just unfold the feet there, just like that. Then take the arms here, unpeg them if they haven't already come unpegged, and then just rotate them out to the side like that. And then take this entire top section and rotate it around and click it into place. And then you can just take the like lower arms here and rotate them around so the elbow is facing the right direction. And there we have Blackarachnia in her robot mode. And yeah, I mean, they did a good job making this look as show accurate as possible in terms of the color scheme, but it still doesn't really look much like the character from the show, just in terms of like the actual proportions of the figure. Still looks a lot more like Tarantulas, but it's kind of a neat artifact, this figure. Now, obviously, famously, you know, the original mutant head gimmick that the figure had, the mutant head for this figure was Tarantulas, and then they used the regular robot mode head as Blackarachnia. Since this is the one that's like meant to be, you know, the most show accurate colors, they didn't even like really paint in any of the detail on the mutant head, so it doesn't have eyes or anything like that. So it really is meant to be, you know, this head, which, you know, you can kind of see the blueprint there for Blackarachnia's head, but having like the weird gap mouth from where the hinge goes is obviously a significant deviation from how she looked in the show. But yeah, in terms of articulation, obviously you can kind of tilt the head up and down on that. Her head's on a ball joint, which has this like kind of long stalk into the body, so it has a pretty expressive range there. The shoulders are on ball joints, which can rotate around like that. You can't really access that joint anymore. You can kind of do whatever you want with the spider legs. They fold in and out like that. The elbows are on ball joints, so they can bend forward like that and then rotate. I kind of wish that they had put the ball joint in the other direction so that you could have this part of her hand face the outside. It even has the hole there to hold the weapon. So you could swap it around if you want, but then, you know, she wouldn't have like correct facing elbow articulation, which is kind of dumb that they made this side the part that has like the hollow gaps, but whatever. And then the hips are on ball joints. One of them is really floppy loose, so can, you know, get a little bit of a thigh swivel because that's the only thigh swivel she has, and go forward, back, depending on, you know, if you have the gun there or not. Pretty deep knee bend for transformation, and then the feet and the heels can both independently, you know, fold up and down, but they can't like as a unit fold up and down, so it's not really like useful, you know, forward and back foot articulation. So, you know, okay, but, you know, definitely shown its age. And then having the weapon in the back there definitely doesn't help keep like the thighs straight because she kind of bumps into it, so she has to like lean over slightly. But yeah, speaking of the weapon, to actually take it out and use it, I believe do you have to fire it? I think you maybe do. I can't remember. Yeah, I think you have to fire it. Oh, yeah, right. I forgot. This is attached to the actual body. Yeah, and then you can take the weapon out just by pulling it from the back there. There's some nice silver detail in the back. But then you can put it in her hand and then reattach the weapon here, which isn't actually attached to the gun, is attached to her, which is, you know, kind of neat, but, you know, obviously it still works the same. Now you just have this other, you know, secondary trigger, which doesn't work quite as well, unfortunately, but, you know, it's there. Come on, there we go. You have to pull back. And then the other interesting thing that she has is if you don't want to use the grappling hook missile, her two legs that are on ball joints here actually do have like missile sculpting on them. So if you just pop them off of the ball joint, you can actually use these as missiles as well, which is kind of interesting. I don't think that it's really worth stressing out the ball joint, because you can see there are kind of like little stress marks on this just from pulling it off for that. So I don't really think it's worth it. And then you don't really have anything to do with this either. If it's not being used as a missile, it's just kind of like hanging back because, you know, it's placed to store. Well, I guess you can kind of do that, just kind of wedge it up in there. But, you know, it's still, you know, not the greatest. At least the weapon has a place to go in both modes. So it's actually like fully integrated technically. It just is still a little bit cumbersome. I'm not going to wrap this up again. I think that we can just leave the string hanging out there, but still, it's kind of an interesting gimmick, and it's nice to at least have those missile options, even if you don't like use them. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here she is again with Kingdom Sideswipe. Just so you can see, pretty much an average size deluxe there. Here she is with the much more show accurate in terms of like the actual body scheme, Kingdom Blackarachnia. So you can see what they look like together. And here she is with Legacy Tarantulas, just so you can see kind of, you know, this is sort of like, this is the one that was actually inspired by this mold rather than, you know, Blackarachnia, who had to be quite different. And then last but not least, here she is with the King, what was it called? The Creatures Collide? No, this was the previous 2-pack. is the buzzworthy Bumblebee Worlds Collide. I don't know. 4-pack version of Blackarachnia that's in the original toy colors, and I think that these two kind of look neat together because she's got like the show accurate body proportions, but the original toy accurate colors, and she's got the original toy accurate body, but with the show colors. Just kind of neat to see the two of them together. I feel like that they look kind of interesting compared to each other. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to this figure. Not my favorite version of Blackarachnia. For a while, it was like this was the best option, and then like we had a lot of kind of middling attempts at Blackarachnia up until we got like the pretty good Kingdom version, in my opinion. So you know, this was like one that I had for a while. It was given to me as a gift. And yeah, no, it's a nice kind of Japanese color scheme. I think that they definitely did the best that they could to make this mold actually look like Blackarachnia. Like I appreciate how they even have details like, you know, the purple painted on the inside of the top of the leg there, even though there's no like sculpted detail to match the color change. You know, they did a valiant attempt at making this mold look as good as it could, but still, it is kind of the tarantulas mold. So I don't know. It would be kind of interesting actually to see like a version of this mold with either, you know, Blackarachnia's color scheme or like the original toy accurate Blackarachnia color scheme, just to be like the most accurate to the original Blackarachnia toy. But you know, still, I definitely think that, you know, this is the Blackarachnia for me. I think that having the actual proportions that she did in the show definitely makes the figure a lot better. And also this figure is like, you know, people like this mold, but like mine is super floppy and does not hold up particularly well. And it just gets in the way of itself a lot of the time, which I find kind of annoying, but you know, that's pretty much all there is to her. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Make sure to check me out on my Instagram account. That's toys.n.art. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Beast Wars Blackarachnia, the Telemocha version. Oh my gosh, even that hip is not, it's still pretty loose. Stand up. Thank you.